What is up, everybody? Skratch coming up with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Now, by the time you're gonna see this video, I'm probably gonna be sitting on the beach having a cocktail. I'm just joking. I'll be holiday, guys, so I won't be around, So this video is pre-recorded earlier with like 2-3 weeks or something like that. But today, we have Coldbrew on the channel, guys, and we're gonna talk about the best nuker, the best epic nuker from every single faction, regardless if it's an AoE or a single target. We're gonna have a look at which one of these epics are still worthy in 2022 and which one of them can smack the best. Coldbrew, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey man, happy to be here and talk with you all about Raid and talk about some epic nukers. We had some discussion off camera, but it's gonna be fun on camera as well about these guys.
Yeah, I love doing this sort of videos with a guest on the channel. It's always good to kind of like get multiple opinions on them and kind of like share different experiences that you had when you use the champion. I feel like it helps the viewers a lot just to have different perspectives, to see it from different point of views, basically, So since you are the guest, I'm gonna let you start with the first champion. You can even pick the faction however you want to go, from the bottom to the top, from the top to bottom.
I'm actually just gonna start from the first one, from Bannerlords, with an epic that I've tried and I've done almost 1 million crit with them. Well, I was a little bit off the million, but it was like a big crit of about 800 something with 800 something thousand with Knight Errant. Knight Errant, just a fantastic epic if you want to see those big numbers with a single target skill, though. His A3 skill basically increases the damage by 75% if he's full health. So you take him to wherever you want to take him, and if he's healthy enough, he'll do like big numbers. He gets a big boost also from books in terms of just straight up damage boost. It's insane that he gets like 50% more damage from the books. So yeah, I think Knight Errant is the best one out of those epics.
Yeah, this was actually my very first epic I got in Raid, guys. This is the bad boy. I used him in Arena for a long time, and what I like is that whenever you kill, I can't remember with which skill, I know that it resets with the A2. It resets the cooldown, okay? And then you can go and smack again. Like, back in the day, I know now we have so many different champions, so many options for nukers and damage dealers, but back in the day, that was not the case. We actually had a very limited amount of champions that were able to do solid damage. We had the starter champions, which were kind of like at the top of the food chain together with Skullcrown, and we had a few other champions like this, but Knight Errant actually used to be an MVP in my team for a very long time. Even in Clan Boss, I used to get the Weakening Clan Boss from him and the Leech. He used to be actually so strong for my Clan Boss team. A bit squishier though. Now, of course, we have many different teams. Now, if I'm gonna talk about the next champion that I kind of like have on the list, and this is more of a recent thing, guys. We do have in the high Elves here, we have Royal Guard, which is awesome as a damage dealer, like enemy max HP. But we have Exemplar. She has crazy multipliers. She hits pretty hard, actually. Now, I still wouldn't recommend anyone to build a champion, not in 2022. This is kind of like to give you an idea which one is the hardest hitter in the faction. But if by any chance you do need DPS in your faction wars, for example, you can consider in building her to level 50 maybe. If you have your Arbiter, you're gonna be making sure that you're gonna revive her before the end of the run, With the A3 attacks one enemy only, she has a chance to freeze and to block active skills. She gives a bit of a crit rate aura for arena battles only, but probably you're not gonna use her there. With the A2, attacks 3 times at random. Attacks 3 times at random. Each hit has a 75% chance to land that weaken. I don't like this. How do you feel about these random hits, Coldbrew?
The random hits, they don't work well when it's multiple enemies against you. They work perfectly okay if it's one target, because all of them go to that target. But if it's just an AoE situation, you can have one in each target and it doesn't really do much. Really, that's the thing with these kind of skills.
I feel like if they would change this to an AoE skill, she would definitely be so much better than she is right now. Honestly, I feel like that right there could be her fix, You want to move over to the next champion?
Yeah, looking over at Sekiro, since we're taking things in a row, we joked about this faction a little bit, but actually I think it's Phoenix and his A1 skill. Funnily enough, it's not his A2, it's not his A3, his A1. If you have a debuff on, it does like an extra hit It has a block revive, just insane potential coming out of just one skill, and it just doesn't need even to have a cooldown. You can just use it. You can use it with an ally attack. So a very strong champion and very useful skill to have on a basic attack.
Absolutely. I actually try him in clan boss. For the ice golem, he is amazing, guys. Okay, the minions on the boss are always void. Okay, so he's not gonna be weak affinity regardless of the stage. But that A1, if you have a debuff on the target and you have an increased attack, he's gonna one-shot a minion with the A1 if you have decent stats on him. That's how powerful he is. The AoE is pretty decent as well, the A3 pretty good, but the A1, I feel like not many champions in this game can match his A1 actually.
Yeah, pretty insane for an epic.
Oh, absolutely. I love the champion. I would still recommend you guys to build him, even today. I'm gonna jump to the barbarians, and right here we have one of these sisters. My only problem why I don't really tend to recommend these champions, they need so many books that you can build 5 libraries. Honestly, like Alika, she hits extremely hard, guys. You'll be surprised. She's one of those hidden gems, okay? The only problem with her is that, ooh, look at all these books. That's the problem, and it's the same with her sister. But she has an AoE skill, putting the skills on cooldowns by 1 turn for all the enemies on a 3-turn cooldown. Very nasty skill. Then we have attacks one enemy, ignores 50% of the target's defense. Again, she can smack so hard with that skill. When she's with her sister, she can actually revive with 75% HP when killed. Pretty good base stats. She looks pretty cool as well. And the A1 has an extra chance to place an extra hit, and the attack is always critical. So that's pretty solid as an epic champion. The only thing is the books, you know. But she's very solid as a damage dealer. I'm using her in my Faction Wars team.
Actually, never thought of using her, but yeah, you made her sound interesting. So I want to test her out, maybe showcase her in a video in the future. So yeah, if you see a video coming out of my channel with her, it's because of Skratch.
Are we going over to the next one? What do you have in the menu for us? Let's see.
Yeah, the next one is All Green Tribes. We talked about this a little bit. I mentioned Shatterbones, but you came back and said, oh, Siege Hulk is way better. So the reason I mentioned Shatterbones is he's got a 3-hitting A2, which it has a quite a low multiplier. But then you came in and said Siege Hulk hits way harder. He has a way to boost his own stats, like the crit rate and crit damage. And when he does hit, he hits hard. So I kind of have to agree with you in that one, since Shadowbones is more like a support type instead of just a straight up attacker compared to Siege Hulk.
Definitely. Like, he actually can smack pretty solid with AoE skill. I think the multiplayer was around 3.6 or 3.7 if I'm not mistaken, which is fairly decent for an epic champion. You know, he can do solid job in arena, he can do solid job in a faction wars as well, depending on where you want to use him. Now, as a single target, I feel like Occult Brawler is still that nasty champion if he's conditional, so he needs tons of debuffs. But if he has all the debuffs, he can actually hit so damn hard that he's actually gonna shock you, you know. It's pretty funny, actually.
Actually, even Maneater hits quite hard with the A2 if we're just gonna talk single hits. If you have the gear, you can try it out. You can see some big numbers, but it's just this A2 that does that. So yeah, lots of big single target nukers coming out of this faction.
Absolutely. Moving over to the Lizardman, guys, is my man Drake. Call me on my cell phone. You know, he can actually destroy. Is the A1. That's what makes him so special. He has pretty good base stats, almost 1.5k attack, but the A1 grants an extra turn if the target is killed. Now, don't expect that you're gonna go in arena and you're just gonna start one-shotting Duchess, Sifi, Krisk one by one, you know? It can happen. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. With increased attack, distance stats, a savage set, and a defense down on the enemies, you're gonna do it most probably. But honestly, he's actually quite of a fun champion to try out. You know, if you need damage again for faction wars, it's definitely not bad. You wanna have some fun in arena, definitely not bad to try him out. You know,
definitely agree with that one. But I just want to say that Basilisk is also a good alternative if you guys ever need something for faction wars. Basilisk is also a really strong damage dealer.
Yeah, I love Basilisk for the A1. You have the
Yeah.
AoE. You can run a stun set on him. I'm running Basilisk for my secret room in the Doom Tower, and I think I have a Jerang in there as well. I feel like Jerang is not as good as the other two when we're talking about damage.
No, no,
Definitely not. So
no,
Drake,
not so much.
call me on the cell phone, and a Basilisk as well. They can do a pretty good job if you need them. What about the Skinwalkers? What do you have at the Skinwalkers?
Skinwalkers, everybody thinks of Fane because she's used a ton in Clan Boss and she just does big numbers. She helps with the Bad Eater 1 key, but Scabrius actually has like a higher multiplier when I was looking at things, and he has a higher multiplier and also applies a weaken. So pretty strong champion coming in there with that single target A3. What do you think about that, man?
Oh yeah, I definitely don't think that Fane, she deserves the title. Like, Basher can hit harder than Fane 100%. I feel like Fane, she's not a hard hitter. Scabrius, on the other hand, how you said, he has a 6-point multiplier, right, on that skill. So that is extremely, extremely powerful. Decent stats. So it's, again, a decent champion to have for damage if needed for faction wars. Unfortunately, this faction is lacking a lot, man. It's lacking support. Is lacking good DPSers in terms of epics. So yeah, you might want to consider some alternatives depending on what other champions you have available for this specific faction. I really hope they're gonna bring in a couple of fusions here, in the near future, because I feel like every time they're avoiding them. I don't know how, but every time they're avoiding them.
Yeah, it's just that raid with some specific factions, they just ignore them as much as they can, and then for others, they keep on making champions. And like, you compare Sacred Order to the Skinwalkers. Sacred Order has 72 champions, comparing it to Skinwalkers, which is 32. It's insane on how much difference there is in there.
Absolutely.
But looking over at Orcs, which one do you think is the best one?
I personally think it's Tolf, the maimed. Tolf the meme. I'm just messing with you guys. Of course, it's not Tolf. Tolf doesn't do nothing. Tolf is just here like a retired character, He's just here to wave time to time. Seer, man, like Seer obliterates, but she needs buffs, right? So she's kind of like a different sort of damage dealer. Probably out of all the damage dealers in the entire game, I don't think anyone can bring in the damage that Seer can, Like, if she has the right buffs and everything set up, she can hit for like 1 million. That's how powerful she can be here. But of course, you won't have that situation all the time. So as an alternative, because she's a bit special, I'm gonna talk a bit about Zargala quickly. She is a pretty solid champion. She's one of those epics that aged pretty good. She's an OG champion. This is what made me play the game. I've seen an ad and Zargala was in the ad, and I can't remember exactly, but that's how I clicked on Raid Shadow Legends. Maybe that's why I'm mentioning her right now. But we have the crack armor, right? Attacks 3 times, you have defense down. She was one of the best defense down champions in the entire game back in the day for Arena, if you remember that.
Yeah. She was very strong. Very strong. Force also,
Was so strong, especially because we had our starter champions all magic, So when we started the game and we used to see Zargala, we were like, no, we're not going there, because she's gonna wreck us. The A2 hits pretty hard as well. So overall, she's a very solid damage dealer that aged well. So definitely keep that in mind when you're building your champions. What about the Demonspawn?
So Demonspawn, there's so many epics in this one, like comparing it to the Skinwalkers, and we were talking about single target champions, but honestly, we can't ignore Magnar in this one as the top damage dealer. He's still the best HP damage dealer, even with all the new ones that we keep on getting, like the Fusion, we got Bivolt, right? We have so many different HP type nukers in the game, but Magnar still seems to be the top one, right?
Absolutely. Like, I know people that come and say, no, Verself is the best HP nuker in the entire game. Well, if you're taking all the debuffs for him, he might hit like, I don't know, 2k more than Magnar. You know what I mean? But honestly, he's not even the right affinity for Arena. Spirit is still the dominant one. Spirit and Magic as nukers, because of what sort of support champions we have in the defenses. So Magnar is still coming on top over Verself. 100%, I'm vouching for Magnar. But even his A3 hits extremely hard, pretty solid.
Yeah.
The A1 hits pretty good. And the A2 is kind of like the whole thing. I wish we would have some legendary champions that can compete with Magnar in terms of damage. You know, if Deliana was having a double hit, she was going to hit harder than Magnar.
Yeah, Diliana, she looked promising, but she didn't quite fit the role.
Yeah, that's the only thing. She doesn't fit the role, you know. She has a 0.3 multiplier. Pretty good, actually. And I think it's my turn, right? We're going to Undead.
Yeah. Undead Hordes.
So Undead Hordes, guys, again, it's kind of like a tricky pony, right? We have Hexia. She is an extremely hard hitter. She is my curse. I personally never tried her, though. So Coldbrew kind of reminded me that she can slaughter enemies, and she can actually do it. I remember I've seen some video ages ago on her that she was hitting extremely hard, and she grants an extra turn. So definitely consider in building her if you need damage. For Faction Wars, especially for the last stage, she might not be the best choice. Since she is Force Affinity and you have all those Valkyries in there and Martyrs. But Dark Elhain, a free champion, she rocks, okay? So I personally love Dark Elhain. She has so much utility. She's so fun for Arena, man. The passives, especially when you're going against Stormins, right? You remember
those killer,
those good old days when you used to go in with 2 Dark Elhains and just terrorize Stormin. It used to be tons of fun, actually. I used to love it.
Yeah, she's so much fun in those situations, and Dark Elhain is free also, so I think it gives her a little bit of a boost in terms of a great nuker indeed.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. Build her with confidence, guys. 0 regrets. What about the Dark Elves? What do you have here for us?
Dark Elves, we're gonna look at a Void champion. Lua has a very high single target burst.
Yeah.
The A3 skill, the Lucky Shot, it's called, can actually ignore shield and block damage, but it's also very high multiplier. I can't remember the number, but it's a big number.
I think was a 6.4. Guys, don't
6.4.
Do not ask me, guys, but somehow today I remember everyone's multipliers, or at least roughly. I might be wrong on this one, but I remember quite a few of them. I don't know why.
Well, at least you remember better than me, but she has a very high multiplier, very strong A3. She's got a triple hitting A2, but the A2 is not as you might think. It's not that good. The A3 though, it's a big burst.
Yeah, and the A1 can become AoE, which makes her great for a lot of content in the game. Spider Dungeon makes her great for the Fire Knight, makes her great for Faction Wars, makes her great for Arena. So you have quite a lot of options with Lua. Definitely not a champion to sleep on if you need some DPS. It's pretty crazy now, man, because we have so many champions in this game, right? Like we have, 600, 700 champions in the game, almost?
We're closing into 700 for sure.
So it's crazy when you're talking about all these champions. It's a lot of work for a lot of people, man, that they're watching these videos. They're like, my God, these guys, they just don't stop it. Every day they're giving me new work, they're giving me another job.
Exactly.
What about the Night Revenants?
So we talked about this a little bit before, and I think it's your turn.
It is.
We had a discussion between 2 of them.
This is pretty hard actually, because there are quite a few. So we have Faceless, which ignores defense and can smack with a single hit, right? He's great for Faction Wars on the boss. He is amazing. I strongly recommend you this if you're struggling with damage out of all of them. Skull Crown, amazing as well. AoE, very, very good damage all around from her, plus the weaken. But the prize goes to Kaitis. He is situational. If you've seen my video on him, you're gonna see that he actually hits harder than Trunda, okay? That's why the prize goes to him. He deserves it, but it's situational. You gotta use a Stone Skin Cardinal with him, let the enemy kill him, revive him, and then the secret skill comes in play. Attacks all enemies 2 times. Damage increases according to the amount of HP this champion lost. This is a secret skill and only becomes available at 50% of their HP. You can, of course, build a team around him with Unkillable. Maneater, a Sir Nicholas, something that is gonna allow him to drop the HP. Even a Paragon. Put Unkillable on Kaitis with Paragon, let his HP drop below 50, you're gonna unlock his secret skill and wreck the enemy team. Is a beast of a champion in terms of damage, but situational. That's my only complaint about him,
Yeah, very specific teams that he can be used, and if the enemy knows what you're trying to do, they can try and counter you with a block revive and or just remove the buffs and basically lock you out.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we have in the Dwarf faction? Which one you think is the best damage dealer out of here?
So in the dwarves, I went in and started talking about Filja with you before the video, but you went back and said Coldbrew Gala is by far the best, and I remember how I used her for my dwarves faction wars back then to hit on that boss. She hit so hard, and she also gets an extra turn because when she's full health and does her A3, she gains an extra turn. So she basically double hits. She uses 2 skills with 1 turn, and she's so good, very high damage dealing and ignores defense. So you can focus on many other stats instead of worrying about, let's say, a savage set if you don't have it.
Absolutely. I remember the OG days when she used to be my tank killer. I'm calling these champions snipers, guys. The ones that they one shot, put you to sleep. Basically, they're snipers in my opinion because one shot, one kill. That's what Gala Longbraids used to be. I used to go in arena, a Krisk, a Duchess, start with one skill, kill one, move over to the next one, kill the other one. That's how strong she used to be. Of course, we had no Swift Parry, we had no reaction and all that nonsense back then. So that's why the quality of a lot of these champions dropped for arena, for the very end game arena, because of all these new sets. That's kind of like what killed a lot of these champions. And moving over to the Shadowkins, we have the one and only Gembo the Dishonored. I don't think anyone hits as hard as him here. Personally, I don't think that there is one. I tried quite a few of them, like Jurojin, Masamoto, and all these champions, but they don't really deal damage. This one, for example, he's so good as a nuker, man. Like, we have the speed aura for arena. He gives his crit rate, his crit damage. You can build him with 70% crit rate. He can still attack. He ignores unkillable, AoE attack, void affinity, immune to decrease attack, so basically he cannot get messed up from there. Honestly, I really feel like he's an absolute beast of a champion. What do you think about Gembo?
I totally agree. It's not only his damage that comes, it's also his utility. So he's such a good damage dealer. Plus, he removes the buffs from that Swift Parry that it's very annoying. So I love to use him in like takeovers, arena takeovers. I see him much easier to build in terms of getting 70% crit instead of 100. You do the burst, and then you hope you had enough damage and nuke out the whole team.
And you get that extra crit damage, of course, to boost the stats even more. I love how sick he looks as well. Like, those swords with the blue flames, they look insane. Yeah. I would like to have a couple as well, just to kind of like keep here on the side, just so I look cool in the videos. Yeah, just so I look cool in the videos, But guys, that should do it, right? These are kind of like the best damage dealers, epic damage dealers from each faction. Let us know in the comments down below if you think that we missed anyone, because we can make mistakes as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and remember, you don't have to build any of these champions. Kind of like check their skills. If any of these champions kind of like spark your interest and you might consider in building them to have some fun, go ahead, let us know how that goes in the comments down below. Head over and check out Coldbrew's channel, guys. A pleasure to have you on the channel, brother, and we'll catch you all soon in the next one.